What up? We're back. Okay, this time we're gonna do Isaiah 9:6. I'm gonna read it to you in Hebrew and then for the Dead Sea Scrolls. I have a Dead Sea Scrolls translation right here. First the Hebrew. Ki yele yule lanu banitan lanu vatehi chamisra al sikmo vayikarashimo pele yoetz el gibor aviat sar shalom. I'm gonna read the Dead Sea Scrolls translation, English translation I have right here. For a child is born unto us, a son is given to us, and the government is upon his shoulder, and he is called Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, the Prince of Peace. Now, we're gonna go over the objections. We're gonna go over your terrible objections. The first one is in past tense, because if you know the Hebrew, this is in past tense. But there's something in Hebrew known as a prophetic perfect, and I'm gonna give you an example right here. Exodus 5:18. Now get to work, or you will, future, not be given, past tense. Even the Chabad website has past tense for given. Let's go into Shemot 18. See, there it is again. You will not, future tense, be given, past tense. That's just one example, because it will have to fit the context. I'm going to read to you verse 7 from the Dead Sea Scroll Bibles. And his government expand, and the peace will be endless for the throne of David, and his kingdom will be to establish it and to sustain it with justice and righteousness from now on and forevermore. Now, if we look at the word now, hold up, yes, because if you look at the Hebrew, me ata, because we have me ata, it's the ata now, because if you go to Isaiah 64 verse 8, but now ve'ata, and now ve'ata Adonai Eloch. If you go, you can. The Hebrew is atta, means now. From that time onward. So that's the second objection. It's about Hezekiah. But verse 7 gives it away, because look, his kingdom's gonna be everlasting. Hezekiah's ended. And what's he talking about? Let's go to Psalm 89. Psalm 89, verses 3 to 4. This is the thing. Oh my goodness. You said, I have made a covenant with my chosen one, Bachir. I have sworn to my David, my servant. I will establish your line forever and make your generations firm through all generations. Now let me ask you this. What's the promise? What did God swear to David? Let's go to 2 Samuel. 2 Samuel, chapter 7, verses 11 to 16. And have done this since the time I have appointed the leaders over my people Israel. I will give you rest from all your enemies. The Lord declares to you that the Lord himself will establish a house for you. And when your days are over and you will rest with your ancestors, I will raise you up a offspring to succeed your kingdom with your own flesh and blood, and I will establish his kingdom, and he is the one who will build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. And I will be his father, and he will be my son. He will do, when he does wrong, I will punish him with the rod, wielded by men, floggings inflicted by human hands, but my love will never be taken away from him, as I took it away from Saul, your house, who I removed before you. Your house and your kingdom will endure forever before me. Your throne will be ever established more. It's also right here in 1 Chronicles, chapter 17, verses 11 through 14. Verses 11 through 14. Let's read it. When your days are over, you will go to be with your ancestors. I will raise up you a offspring to succeed one of your own offspring, and I will establish his kingdom. He is the one who will build a house for me, and I will establish his throne forever. I will be his father, and he will be my son. I will never take my love away from him, as I took away from from your predecessor. I will set him over my house, and his kingdom forever will be established forever. That's the promise, because Chronicles was written later, while this was around Solomon's time, because this is about Messiah and Solomon, but this is after Solomon. See how it says, when he does wrong is removed because Solomon's time was already done by this. Back to Psalm 89. This is the promise. That's an everlasting dominion, an everlasting kingdom. Let's go back to Isaiah 9. For unto us a child is born, a son is given, and he's going to be everlasting. I'm going to give you Rashi's commentary. Is it Rashi? No. I think it's the Targum. Isaiah 9 dash. Let me check the Targum. I don't know if it was Rashi or Targum. David. Oh, no, it wasn't Targum. It's one of the Jewish sources. I'll tell you. Now, the next objection, we gotta go look at the Hebrew. It's the Vayikra Shemo. This is like a Tovia Singer argument. Let's see. You see where it says Vayikra Shemo? Now, the objection is because you have stuff like Vayikra Shemo, which means, and he called, and someone called. And sometimes in Hebrew, you'll have stuff where you have like the subject is after the verb. So they'll twist the Hebrew and say, the mighty God called him. They don't want to say he is called the mighty God. But the problem with that is Vayikra or Vayikra et Shemo, Vayikra Shemo. Usually if it appears at the that tends to work usually at the beginning of a sentence. But it's less common if it's in the middle between, you see how it's here between Sikmo and Shemo, Pele. I'm going to give you an example. Let's take a look. Where was it? Oh yeah, Genesis. Oh my God, Genesis 25 verse 26. It's right here. You can read verse 26 because after his brother came out with his hand with Esau and he was named Jacob. Because if you look at the Hebrew, it's the exact same thing. Vayikra Shemo Yaakov. It should be Yaakov, yeah. Yeah, Vayikra Shemo. No, Vayikra Shemo. There it is. Vayikra Shemo Yaakov. Does it say Jacob called his name, or was he known? That was his name. That's what he was being called. So in the same way, this son is going to be called because this is what he's known for. Because Vayikra can also work like that. Vayikra Shemo Yaakov. It's like Mike Tyson. He's called Iron Mike. Does that mean that that Iron Mike is calling him? Or the subject is being called him? The next objection is Shem, because it's singular, his name, and it goes on to give a list of multiple names. Just like with Iron Mike. These things, Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, well, that's Aviat, so it really should say Father of Eternity. Those are all titles under one name, because if this is about Mashiach, he has one Shem, one name, and these are his titles, his attributes, like Elohim, Adonai, Hashem, Yahovah. Well, that's a divine name. But you see the point? You have multiple names referring to one singular thing. The next objection is, it's just a metaphor, because I just gave you this, and they'll just try to explain it away. No, it's just a metaphor. But, if we look at the verse 7, Olam, where's Olam? Oh my gosh. There it is, Olam, forever. Because if this is forever, it cannot be about Hezekiah. And it's also from now on. This is written around the time of Ahaz, so this future king is already king at the time of Ahaz. Makes sense because he's called the Mighty God. Okay, now let's go to, what was it called? Yeah, it was, because this is a metaphor by their own type of logic. If Olam is going to be used a metaphor here, is this also a metaphor? Before the mountains were born, before you brought forth the earth, everlasting to everlasting you are God. Because everlasting here, the Hebrew is Olam. Is that also a metaphor? Are you going to say this is a metaphor? I think not. So don't tap dance to say what is and what isn't a metaphor. And fun fact, a Jewish rabbi, famous Jewish rabbi, Moses Maimonides, also known as Rambam, wrote an epistle to Yemen about a false messianic claimant in Yemen. and he quotes Isaiah 9, this Isaiah 9:6, the mighty God verse, to give the characteristics, the qualities of what Mashiach is going to be like, so people don't get duped. That's Rambam. You can go look at his article. I think it's around chapter 16 or 17 from the Wikipedia page. And that's one of my the most objections that I can think of so far. But this is their logic. Because this is a future prophecy. Because Isaiah is looking at, because think about it. Isaiah already saw it, and he's writing down what he already saw in the past tense. If I say I'm gonna go to the future, I went to the future, and you became, past tense, a millionaire. Does that mean that you already a millionaire? If I say in 2049, you will become. My apologies. By 2048, you became a millionaire. That year is in the future, but it's compatible to use it in past tense. And that's just one thing. That's what it's all about. And yeah, here's the example right here, Exodus 5:18. And think about it, it's also logical. Mighty God. This is a child being called the mighty God. Let's be honest here. Would you ever name your kid the mighty God? That would be blasphemy. Right? But notice verse 7 says he's good with justice and righteousness. Having a blasphemous name is not righteous. So in order for him to be given the title that only God alone has, therefore he has to be the mighty God. As a matter of fact, let's go to Isaiah 10, because El Gibor appears over here in Isaiah 10, and a remnant will return to Jacob, will return to the mighty God. Now the mighty God here is Yehovah, and it would be blasphemy for someone who is not the Lord to be given that title, because they're not worthy of that title. But the very previous chapter, I went too far. The previous chapter in Isaiah 9:6, no, not 9:6. Oh my gosh. 9:6, he's called the mighty God. Now, some Jews will interpret this that this is about Messiah, but mighty God is just a metaphor. But is when the remnant of Jacob going to return to the mighty God also a metaphor? Let me ask you that. So overall, let's do thing. So Isaiah 9:6 through 7. He's going to be called the mighty God, Father of eternity, Prince of peace, and his kingdom's going to be eternal, because that's the promise made to David. Right here, Psalm 89, and here are the two messianic prophecies right here. And we have the example of a future thing being in past tense. It's right there, and the Chabad website translates it correctly. So, if there are any more objections, which I think they are, we'll go over them.